Hi, my name is Nicholas. Welcome to this week's Yin practice. For props for today, the main ones are a blanket, bolster, and a soft block. Hard blocks may be handy as well. So basically everything you have around. And when you're ready, we'll get started in a dangling position, so like a standing forward fold. So if you want to have any of your props nearby, just to have in your hands so that the arms aren't floating, maybe that's a little too much pressure to have the arms floating, depending on your proportions. You can do a block under each hand, or you could even use your bolster, something like that. And you don't have to come below like a halfway lift shape either. So if having your hands somewhere on your legs, maybe with a gentle bend to the knees, feels like enough of a stretch through the back body, then go for it. Otherwise, you might think about slowly rounding, letting the spine get nice and heavy, letting the head get nice and heavy, and check in to see what bend to the knees feels best here. So, see what it feels like to have the legs all the way extended. That might change where the stress is. And if you're feeling any pain or anything like that, then you might explore with a deeper bend to the knees. See what arm expression feels good here as well. You can let the arms dangle. You can have them to the legs somewhere. You can take them behind the back if you like. You can take them behind the skull. As you settle in here, take a moment just to scan through the body, see if there's anything that needs a little extra support. And check in with your headspace, see if that needs any support too. Making today's practice whatever you need it to be. And keep breathing into whatever you're feeling. And as you feel ready to, you may walk the hands up the legs part way. Find your halfway lift and just lengthen the backs of the legs, lengthen the spine. And then bending the knees to bring the hands down to the floor. And we'll come to a tabletop position. And setting up for a child's pose, and we're going to add a side stretch to it. So maybe having the knees nice and wide apart, maybe even as wide as the mat. And then as you're ready, you can bring the hips towards the heels. You can slide your blanket between if you need a little more support there. Start to extend the arms out towards the front of the room. If the forehead or the chest don't quite reach, then feel free to slide one of your props in. And then taking it over to a side stretch, you can start to walk both your hands towards the top right corner of the mat. The arms can stay extended. You can also bend the elbows. That might feel better. If you like to cross the left wrist over the right, then go for it. And keep that left side of the pelvis nice and heavy here. Notice that stretch from the left hip all the way up to the left elbow. As you're ready, using the hands to walk the body back to center, and take the arms over towards the top left side. Notice the right hip now, keep it nice and heavy, arms extended, or maybe you're crossing the right wrist over the left. And bringing your attention to that stretch through the right side of the torso. And slowly walking the arms back to center, bring the body back to center. And then you can walk the hands in towards the knees, come up to find a kneeling position. And we won't stay here too long, but if you need to find a seat, then go for it. We're going to set up for the next shape, which is frog pose. And if for any reason frog pose doesn't work for your knees, if it's too much pressure, then you can come onto the back and find a happy baby, or you can hold the knees instead. I like to use the blanket to come into frog pose just because I find it easier for the knees to slide apart. And if you're on a carpet or something, you may not need to worry about that. So I'm going to turn my blanket into a long rectangle and place it lengthwise, or not, rather not lengthwise. I'm going to place it across the mat, and I'm going to just build up a little slack in the middle so that as the knees pull it apart, there's kind of room to spread. And then I like to have the bolster nearby. I'm going to bring it near the top of the mat. And I know that just with my proportions, it works pretty well to lie my torso down onto it. You could also have your other blocks nearby just in case you need a little something extra. So if the belly, the chest aren't quite touching your bolster, you could also put a couple hard blocks on it or something like that. So coming in from a tabletop position, bring your knees onto the blanket, and straight away you can take them nice and far apart. From here, let the knees slide a little further apart and just take it easy. You don't have to go too deep. Just check in, see where you end up. And you can also adjust where the feet are here, so having the feet a little bit closer together might soften the shape too. And then basically you want to have the spine nice and long. So if having a bolster underneath the belly is more supportive for you, then great. You can add that in. Check in to see where the pelvis is relative to the knees. So sometimes the pelvis comes forward and then you might lose that stretch through the inner groin. And check in here. If there's anything else you need to adjust, then go for it. If something is cramping, maybe you want to come out, find a little stretch, and then come back in as you're ready. Find your stillness, find your pain-free expression. All right, if you need a little more time in this shape, you're welcome to stay. To come out, I find the easiest way is to slide your body forward and then slide the legs back. It's not very graceful, so just take your time. We're actually going to stay on the belly, and you can keep your bolster, just switch it across the mat and keep it underneath your chest. We're going to set up for a Sphinx pose here, and we're going to find a pretty gentle version of the shape. So you can find a place for the bolster that works best for you. I'm going to keep it kind of underneath the chest and armpits here. And then see how you want to position the forearms as well. You can have them parallel to each other, either extended out in front or side by side. If you need a little more of a back bend, you can always bring the bolster a little closer to the body, and to soften, move it a little further away. See what feels best for your neck here and find that expression. So whether the neck is a continuation of the spine, whether you want to let the head hang heavy, maybe find a stretch for the back of the neck, maybe keep it lifted a little bit to stretch out the front of the neck. And settling into your expression. Making the shape your own. Noticing anything that comes up here. See if you'd benefit from a little more time here. You're welcome to stay. Otherwise, as you feel ready, you can gently start to back out of your shape and gently sliding the bolster over to one side. You can flip onto your back any way you like to get there. You can move your blanket off to one side as well, maybe keeping it close by for your Shavasana. So maybe with the bolster over to the right or wherever you ended up landing, we're going to set up for a twist here, and we're going to interlace the legs. So if that works for you, great. Otherwise, you can find a two-knee stack twist or a one-legged twist. If you're coming with me for eagle legs, then you can take that left leg and wrap it around the right. You can do this once or twice. Twice would be wrapping the toes around as well. Scoot the hips over to the left a few inches, and then slowly start to lower the knees down towards the right. So you can use your bolster however you like, supporting either knee here. If you need a little extra padding for that right hip, you can bring your blanket in. Find any arm expression you like, so it can be T-shape, cactus, arms on the body or overhead. And check in here, see if there's anything that needs to be adjusted or needs a little more support. And when you're ready, come and find your stillness. If your knees are twisted over to the right, keep them there. You can bring your gaze down towards the right and then reach the left arm over as well, coming to lie on one side, and from here you can unravel the legs. And you can pause on your side for a few breaths, and whenever you're ready, you can roll back onto the back. And see if you'd benefit from a little windshield wiper in between sides, or you could pause in stillness for a few breaths, maybe resting the knees in together. And there's no rush to go anywhere, but when you're ready to set up for the second side, if your bolster was handy, then you can take it over to the left now. Either two knees stacked or one knee twist, or if you're coming with me for eagle legs, wrap the right leg around the left once or twice. And scoot the hips over towards the left, and then you can start to lower the knees down towards the right. And you can land them on your bolster, on your props, any way you like. Maybe that right shoulder is floating. Maybe it needs just a little support to help it feel grounded. You can slide a prop under. Maybe taking the arms to a T shape or whatever you did on the first side. You can always modify if this side needs something a little different. And when you're ready, you can come and find your stillness. As you feel ready to, gently take your gaze down towards the left, reaching the right arm over towards the left as well. Coming onto your left side, pausing for a breath or two, and releasing the legs as you feel ready. Awesome. And then as you're ready, you can either come up to a seat or you can stay down on your back. The next shape we'll set up is Shavasana, so you can choose what you want for today. I'm going to rest in a kneeling shape, and I'm going to use the bolster just to make it a little bit more comfortable. If you're coming onto your back, you can rest in any shape that you like. You can use any of your props. So if you want to rest in a heart opener and you want to have the spine lying on your bolster, if you want to have the knees open for butterfly, anything at all, feel free to find whatever shape feels best. I'm going to use the blanket just on the mat for a little extra padding for the knees. I'm going to take the bolster across, and then I'm going to come to sit on top of it. If you like to kneel in this shape, then great. If there's something else, then go for it. Seated meditation is always a good option as well. Take a moment to find that length in the spine, the space for the chest, shoulders nice and soft. Maybe a slight tuck of the chin in towards the throat to keep the back of the neck nice and long. Hands can rest wherever they feel comfortable. Doing your best to quiet down the body and quiet down the mind. And settle in here for your rest. Gently bring your attention back to this space, deepening your breath to reawaken the body. Wherever you are, you might explore a little movement, maybe wiggling the fingers and the toes, moving the wrists or the ankles. Maybe arms reach up overhead. Maybe legs extend. If you're on your back, you can find a full body stretch. And if you're on your back, you can roll down to one side and then make your way up to a seat as you're ready. If you're in a seat, a few rounds of seated cat-cow might feel nice for the spine, or if you like to take some gentle twists side to side. If you like to release the legs, give them a little shake out, then go for it. Whenever you're ready, coming to any comfortable seated position, and connecting the hands at the heart, bowing the chin to the chest. And thank you for sharing your breath and your practice today. Namaste. My name is Nicholas. Thank you for joining me for your yin practice. If you have any questions, please reach out and enjoy the rest of your day.